Hey, real estate friends, Reed Swizer with Estero Development and Buller River Developments in the Carolinas. I'm here today with Chad Emerson with CMG Home Loans. He's actually based out of San Antonio, so he's down south like we here are here in Florida. And we're here today to talk a little bit about a new financing program that we're going to be kicking off for both our Carolina and our Florida properties, which is going to drastically improve your cash flow. It's just going to make things better. We know over the last about the last year, rates have been ticking up, ticking up, ticking up. And with the, really heavy demand that we have here in the Southeast in general, prices really haven't come down, with the interest rate hike. So we've had to figure out kind of a creative way to improve your cash flow. And I think we've got it. So Chad, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Reed.
So the name of the program is the Builder Forward Commitment Program. And we're not going to get too much into the back end of kind of how this works. I mean, a little bit, not on the builder side, but we will talk about how this works on the buyer's side. So I guess, we're talking about rates as low as like 4.75%. And we haven't seen this for a while. And when I first heard about this, I got to be honest with you, Chad, I didn't believe it. I was like, there's no way you can't do that. There's no way to do that. And I think a lot of people are probably saying there's no way, So tell us a little bit about the program, how it works, why it works, and I'll ask you a couple follow-up questions.
Sure. So, in the 25 years I've been doing this, I've never seen rates, jump as precipitously as they have most recently. So we need to get a little more creative than your basic, we got 30-year fixed, and those vanilla loans are kind of a thing of the past as far as I'm concerned. So to help our investors out here, we've come out with this Builder Forward Commitment. The real nuts and bolts of it is essentially the builder is buying money at a specified rate that they can actually guarantee to the investor. Right now, that rate is 4.75. Okay. So there's no points being charged back to the buyers. They're basically the recipients of a 4.75 rate. Now their properties can cash flow. It's a 10-year ARM, so it is fixed for 10 years. After 10 years, it can adjust. We're also offering our clients a coupon, if you will, where they can actually come back and refinance if the rates come back down the next 3 years, like everybody's assuming they will. They can actually come back here. We're going to strip our lender fees and do the refi for them if they're a repeat client. So
okay, awesome. So the buyer is going to get this 4.75 rate with no points, just kind of a straight up deal. Is there anything they have to do special in terms of like down payment, points, fees, anything like that?
Sure. So there is not going to be any points, as we mentioned. Plus, we don't charge any points here with our lender fees. We do charge $13.95 as a company. But as far as the requirements for the buyer, we want to see that they at least have 700 credit scores. This may be preaching to the choir because I know a lot of investors are obviously well qualified, but that's one thing. I want to make that clear. Also, the down payment, 25%, whether you're buying a single family or you're buying a 2, 3, or 4 unit property, 25% is the requirement. This is conventional financing though. Okay. So
Fannie Freddie type requirements.
Exactly. Okay. We don't have any overlays though. Not sure if anyone knows what that is, but overlays essentially are additional qualifications that banks will put on their loans to make them look maybe less or more risk averse, essentially.
Okay.
We adhere, our underwriting has no overlays. Whatever Fannie and Freddie allow, that's what we underwrite on. Okay. So we're not going to throw any additional requirements on there. As far as there's no real qualification other than the builder has to be willing to do the Builder Forward Commitment to get that rate. So this isn't going to be with, anybody can just come to me and get this rate. This is select few builders that we're actually entering into agreements on with this program.
So to really simplify it, the builder is putting up money up front to kind of reserve this low interest rate money for their future clients. Is that a way to boil it down?
100%. You got it.
Okay. Okay, so the builders, so that's why there's no points to the buyers, because the builder has already paid that in order to secure this lower rate financing.
Exactly. Yep.
Wow, I can't believe it. I'm guy from Florida. I'm not supposed to be able to figure this kind of stuff out.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I got to give you, you get a gold star today for that. But
My old
investors,
math teacher from high school would be excited.
well, investors are loving this. I mean, they're, in an environment like we are right now where rates are going up, they can secure a nice low rate, and guess what? They're going to cash flow now once again.
Yeah.
So
How many of
those
these have you
investors-
already done? Have you done a bunch of these already? I mean, this obviously is probably a little bit of a newer program, but how many of these do you have under your belt?
Well, we've already got about 75, if I had to guess.
Okay.
We did 60 with one of the builders that we introduced this to here in San Antonio. There's been such response to this because, I mean, this is something pretty large that we've come to offer these builders. I think I mentioned to you at one time that we did have a builder that entered into this agreement with us because they had a lot of inventory sitting on the ground, right? There's a lot of people that wanted to buy it, but it just didn't make sense numbers wise. So we approached them with this program, and in the next 60 days, they had 50 contracts. Okay. So if you're looking for something that's going to move inventory, this is it for builders. But for investors, this is cash flow. This is really important. You can buy on, hoping that, these on appreciation, which is what investors have been doing up to this point. But now you don't have to wait for those rates to come back down. You can actually get into that rate now and start making
awesome.
cash flow.
So it's kind of, you're going to get the appreciation, but you're also going to be cash flowing in the process. I'm looking at my list of questions here, and we've kind of already talked about the qualifications. So if somebody were to go to my inventory list and say, I want XYZ house, and they entered into a contract with us, we have some requirements as a builder that the buyers don't really need to know. We've got to package at least 2 of these together, send them over to you at the same time, which is fine. But once we get into your process and you take their loan application, how long is it taking to turn these around and close them?
On average, we've kind of made it our benchmark to close within 21 days.
So these are quick. So if you need to move on something quick, we can move on something quick. So 1031 buyers, cost segregation buyers, things like that. This could be a good fit for them.
Absolutely. There's been some cases where we've actually closed in 10 days before, but that's not going to be the norm. That's for, when the stars align, we can close that quickly. We are a national company. We've got a large team ready to handle this workload. So having those factors in my my tool belt here allows me to move very quickly, and that's why we made 21 days the standard.
Okay. All right. So I guess the only thing I want to do is kind of walk us through an example scenario. Let's say I've got a house that's 370, 380. Just kind of walk us through like the steps, a timeline, so that way people could know what to expect if they decide to move forward.
Okay. So someone comes to you, Reed, they say, hey, I'd like that house in the corner. Okay. Let's say your list price is 379. Okay. So we're going to want to ask you to go ahead and write that contract at 75% loan to value. So we do want them to come in with 25%. So they can get that best rate that we're offering, the 4.75. Okay. Once I get that contract, first thing I'm doing is I'm entering that, I'm going to contact that client, introduce myself, introduce my team to them, but then I'm going to send them a link where they can actually fill out an application. So I got to make sure that these folks are well qualified before they enter into, the builder forward commitments that we have. Okay. So we'll go through, make sure they're well qualified. Pretty much this can all be done the same day that I actually send out that link to them. Okay. So at that point, then I report back to you. I send you an approval letter, and I copy the buyer on there, the investor. And so they know that they're pre-qualified, and you've got somebody that's going to be closing on one of these properties, right? We've already vetted them. We've already gone through the pre-approval process. So then next step then is we're going to contact you. Once they're pre-qualified, we're going to come back to you and say, hey, what's completion looking like? This may already be on a property that's complete, or this may be something that's maybe 2-3 weeks out. We can really do these forward commitments at any time. I think the best time for everybody though is to make sure we're inside 30 days so that we're meeting expectations, right?
Sure.
It's also the best time to lock in too, so we're not doing, extensions and costing the builder more money either, or expecting, you've got 1031 deadlines too to make sure that they're going to close within that time frame as well.
Sure.
So clock's always taken there. But once we do the trade with you, in the meantime, we're already working on gathering the client's information. So once I give them the green light, my loan assistant, her name is Laura, she's going to be working on getting the required documentation. She'll send you a list of what we need, the basic stuff, tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs, you know how it is.
Yeah, the basic stuff that you got to do on just about every loan.
Exactly. And then once she has that, and I'm ready to turn this file into processing, that's the time that we actually go ahead and order an appraisal.
Mhm.
Now, I want to say this right now because a lot of people, there's always confusion about this. They say, hey, my home's not done yet. Why are we getting an appraisal? Don't we want to wait till it's complete?
Sure.
Well, we've made it our policy that by the time that property is 100% complete, we want to close because the buyer wants to get the rents, and I'm sure you want to get your holding costs taken
You can
care
do a
of.
subject to type appraisal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that will require a final inspection. After, once the property is 100% complete, we send the appraiser back out there. He verifies that, yep, everything's done. Landscaping's in, appliances in the house, electricity's on, water's running, let's go. So
Okay.
at that time, then we go ahead and we get our final approval from underwriting and then we close.
And the benchmark is 21 days. So that's good. That's about as good as I've heard. And with this kind of rate, there's a lot of benefits. So
Yeah, I came from a previous lender where if we were trying to close something in 21 days, that was considered a rush, right? One of the reasons why I decided to come over here was that was the requirement. We really pride ourselves on, anything more than 21 days, we're just wasting time.
sure.
We're in a want it now environment. People want to get their property. People want to start, making income on this property. And you also have holding costs as a builder to get that taken care of as well. So everybody wins in this scenario.
No, that's great. Well, Chad, I want to thank you very much for hanging out with us for 20 minutes here today and kind of going through this program. Guys, this is Chad Emerson with CMG Home Loans. I'm Reed with Estero Development. Again, we build Southwest Florida. We build around the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. So anyway, thank you guys all for tuning in, and I really appreciate it. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Reed.
Thank you.